Hello! So this is the final video about creating the small scene with a miniature dojo, and I just wanted to recap in short what this is all about. Last year we were working on a short documentary about a Croatian judo club named Fuji for kids with cerebral palsy. And right now the documentary is finished and it's being applied to festivals around the world. We wanted to start the documentary in a very cinematic way, so we envisioned a 1-minute intro scene with a judo master who is narrating the whole story. First we show the establishing shot of the dojo in front of Mount Fuji, and then we show the judo master gazing in the distance, lighting some candles and pondering about life. Of course, we couldn't go to Japan to film this, unfortunately, so we decided to film the whole scene in a studio. Actual Olympic gold medal winner in judo was our actor for the day, and we filmed all his shots in front of a green screen. And then to create everything around him, we needed a miniature. I built a dojo model with a surrounding diorama. If you haven't seen that, you can check out a couple of past videos on this channel. And we also made a real painted backdrop of a mountain to have something behind the miniature. So with all that said, all that's left is to show you how we filmed the miniature and composited these shots.
Today's the big day. Today we're gonna shoot the miniature dojo that Luca has been so meticulously building, so let's check it out.
So the last time that we used the motion control slider was when we filmed Slice of Life, the short movie, and that was what, like?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. And we haven't touched it since. So it took us over an hour to remember how to connect all the cables, because there's a lot of cables and you gotta connect everything correctly for it to work. And then now we can program the motion, you know, with keyframes, and it's a little bit complicated, so it's hard to remember. But now that we remembered, we can do whatever we want. It begins as a wide shot, and then camera moves towards the dojo, and we end up with a little bit closer shot. It's a very gentle, nice move. So this is basically the length of the camera move. This is the beginning keyframe and this is the end keyframe, and it's 24 seconds long. I can control the slide, the pan and the tilt separately. So now we gotta pimp up the shot a little bit more. The first thing we always do is decide on the camera move, because that gives us the information about what the camera will see and what is the area that we need to work in. Then we can start arranging things in the shot accordingly.
We created 4 layers. We have this beautiful, nice little trees in the foreground. We have the dojo with the park. In the 3rd layer, we have also little trees and silhouettes of a forest.
I had the idea to do these forest silhouettes. I just took random tree silhouettes from Google, and then I was flipping and scaling them so it wouldn't look like I used just 3 different trees. I also placed some smaller bushes between the trees, and once it looked like a forest, I simply cut it from cardboard on my laser cutter. Painted it green and glued a little bit of flocking to give the trees some volume. And after all that work, we placed it all the way in the background, and of course you can barely see it in the final shot. The other day we did a test of this shot, just like a quick test to see how it's gonna look like. And originally on the dojo I built like some kind of doors here, and they had a post right in the middle, and therefore the little man who is sitting inside couldn't be in the middle. So Dino said, let's move him to the left. And then we had an argue about it, because I couldn't stand him not being in the center, because I have OCD and I couldn't live with it, so I cut out this post, and now he can be in the middle. Also, we needed to make the miniature guy more realistic than this one I quickly threw together for the test. So I took the footage of the real actor that we filmed, keyed him out to get a silhouette, and then I cut it on a laser cutter. I also threw some color on him, and because he was cut from that actor's silhouette, he now looks exactly like that person in the finished shot. All these closets and chests were again laser cut, and I designed them to mimic the actual style of traditional Japanese cabinetry. I could talk about Japanese carpentry and cabinetry all day long, of course, but this is probably not the best time for it. This is called a Suzuribako. I know it's not important. Okay, let's film it. As always, we decided to film this shot with the technique of filming in passes, to enable us with more control over individual elements and with more freedom in post-production. So far we filmed three passes, I think, but yes, it's gonna be around, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 passes altogether. We lit the backdrop, the Fuji painting, separately. That was 1 pass. Then we turned all the lights on and did something like a top light where everything is evenly lit.
Then we used little dado lights to highlight specific points on the miniature, like the staircase, like the roof thingies there.
And the Toro lamps. Don't forget the Toro lamps. Now we're going to smoke the room and start filming the fog passes. We filmed a couple of fog passes with the light hidden behind the building. In the final shot, this will visually separate the building from the background. And finally, it was time for the final pass, the sun.
We never filmed daylight in Slice of Life because we were afraid to get exposed because of our bad miniatures. Now Luca did a much better miniature, but we're still filming sundown, which is also kind of like dark, just with the sun.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So for the sun pass, we removed the painting. That way we had more space for the light, because theoretically the light source should be at the very same place as the painting was. We designed the shot in a way that the sun would be behind the tree. That way the sun rays were constantly changing as the camera moved and it looked magical. So after the wide establishing shot, now we are filming the interior of the dojo. So we actually put a 35mm lens on the camera and we came really close, so it seems like we are inside. And to our surprise, it actually holds the realism. The details are very fine. I also made this one separate wall, just the front wall of the dojo. And there's of course all these tiny benches and stuff like that.
Luca is very skillful with the tweezers because he uses them every morning when he goes to pee.
The second shot was filmed in the same way as the first. The camera did a slow forward slide and we did about 6 passes. The first one was this general even top light on the whole scene. Then we only lit the painting in the background, leaving the foreground dark. Then we filled the room with smoke and did a couple of different fog passes. We often just move the lights around until something interesting happens. I mean, you generally know what passes you need, but it's also about experimenting, so we often film more stuff than we actually need, but it gives you options later in compositing. And lastly, the sun. We place the light in such a way that when the camera moves forward, the sun appears from behind the wall. The filming is finished!
I think we did a pretty decent job.
We did a ridiculous amount for one night.
2.
Two shots, but that's a lot.
That's like a 2-digit number.
Yeah. Alright, so we are now in After Effects, where I composited all these shots together, and let's go through my composition. So I will just turn on layer by layer and then we will see how they stack together. This is the pass of the sky. We only lit the sky. And the first thing that I wanted to bring back is some details in the dojo itself, because right now it's completely dark, right? This was the info layer that we also filmed, where everything is evenly lit. And I did a little mask, and when I combine these two together, I get this, right? So without it and with it, there's some more detail on the dojo. Next thing was the top light. So you can see the top light is giving us some, well, top light on the trees. The roof gets some illumination too. And then we have some sunlight. So this is the hard light from the right, because we always knew that we are going to put the sun here behind this tree. So therefore we had some light coming from the right. If the sun is here, then it's not really logical that it's on the right side of this tree, but nobody's ever gonna notice that. Then we have another layer of sun, and here we specifically wanted to brighten some, details on the roof, and also these Toro lamps here. And when they are singled out, these layers look like this. Everything is completely dark around them, and there's only, we only illuminated these parts that we wanted. Alright, now we have fog, and this is how it looks combined with the rest of the shot. Bam! Fog just brings some magic to everything, right? Look at these posts here, vertical posts, right? When I turn the fog on, it separates these posts from the foreground of the building. You just get the feel for the depth. Oh, the fog is amazing. This is the first fog pass, and this is the left one. And right now it might be a little weird, like why is this left side so illuminated? But immediately when we bring in the sun, everything starts to make sense, right? So this is the sun layer, it's hidden behind the tree. If I single them out, you can obviously see that the rays are not logical. The rays of light should only come from this part where the sun is. But again, it's not obvious when you look at the whole shot, right? So for example, without the middle fog, this guy in the middle, you can't even see him. We needed something that will separate him. So right now we have a silhouette of a man and everything is much better. And then you can see on the left I have a blue and an orange layer. What do these layers do? Well, these are just solid layers, just solid color, and I just put blue on the left and orange on the right where the sun is, and I use them just to softly shift your focus to the right of the image. This is without them and this is with them, and I did it in a very subtle way, but it's there. And finally we have a color correction layer. The final shot is moody and dark, and we went for this greenish and orange tones because we always like to make everything a little bit stylized. And there you go, that's a finished intro shot. It's not complicated, as you can see. Not many layers here. And let's go to shot number 2. This is the shot where the judo master is sitting inside of the temple, of the dojo. Let's break it down. I think this is the top light pass. Let's brighten up the mountain. We have fog from the right. And now we have the volumetric fog behind the trees. Again, this doesn't make much sense because the sun will be here on the right, but it just makes the shot look cool. And some more fog on the right. So now we gotta put the judo master inside the shot. This is the shot we filmed. I just keyed him out and masked everything around him. Of course, when I put him in the shot, he's obviously the wrong color and everything, and I just used some tinting effects, color matching effects to make him fit in the shot more closely. And the biggest problem is he doesn't look like he's sitting on the floor because his bottom is darker than the floor, right? So I just put a little bit of the shadow. And now he's sitting, and color correction in the end, which will make it nice and dark and cinematic. But here we have a close-up shot, and it will show a different wall of the dojo, of the interior, which I never built. So what do? Well, we basically just shot the same elements that we had, the same one wall that I built, and the advantage was that it needed to be blurry, right? So we just needed to match the perspective with the actor, and it blended together. This is how we made the whole sequence, and as I said, the documentary is right now being applied to the festivals, so you know, keep your fingers crossed that we get into some festivals. But for now, I'm leaving you with the completed intro for the documentary, and I really hope you will enjoy it. Bye bye.
必ず何かしらの達成があります。柔道はただの格闘技ではなく人生の哲学であると今では世界中で広く知られるようになりました。忍耐、決意、勇気、献身、そして名誉、柔道を飾る美徳です。遠く離れた小さな国クロアチアの柔道家たちこそこの理想にかつてないほどに忠実に生きていると言えます。これは彼らの物語なのです。